the versionable behavior I want to explain a little bit in detail. If you say this table is versionable, Doctrine automatically adds a version column. It creates a new table in addition for storing all versions. And it updates the version fields for you automatically if you create a new version, if you delete a version. And it offers according functionality to do this with ease. So the complete logic of the version handling is done by Doctrine, and you only have to say, my table should be versionable, and that was it. Quite similar, the internationalization behavior is working. You say, I want to have different languages here for my table, and then a new translation table is created internally. And if you select your object, you get sub-arrays for each language containing the translations. So these are only two examples for the behavior, but those are very powerful and mighty, and you should definitely take a look at the manual. The module structure in Zikula will certainly change with introducing object orientation. So instead of a PN version or a PN table file, we now have a set module subclass for each module, containing all base properties and needed information, which was stored in the PN version file before. And the advantage certainly is that you have a base class containing some functionality you don't have to repeat for every module. Also, we have an installer class, which is going to replace the PN init. And for example, if you don't have to do any special actions during your installation, you don't have to write it anymore, because the base installer class already creates all tables and creates all modvars. So only if you do some special things like inserting example data or creating some categories, you have to extend this. But all normal installation tasks are done by the base class already. Also, we have classes for replacing the PN-foo files and the PN-foo API files. They become set actions and set tasks. So each set action represents one function you can call as a user, and each set task represents a function which can be called by another function. And also here we will save much redundant code, because we have actions like set action list objects, which does show a list of several objects you are going to give as an argument, and you only have to extend it if you want to do special things. So, for example, if you want to sort, if you want to filter, these are no special things, because every list can be sorted and filtered, and this is already covered. Another example would be set action edit object. If you only want to do a usual form with an edit field for each property of your object, you don't have to write this code, because the base class already contains it. So only if you do very special things in your edit form, you have to extend this thing. Especially for the category modules, this is going to save incredibly much code, because all the category modules like news, pages, quotes are 90% the same code. So imagine set action list category objects as a subclass of set action list objects containing all the category handling, like a drop-down for the filter and so on. And then imagine how much size all these modules will have after the changes. Beside all this module architecture stuff, there are certainly further changes into Zero. For example, we did several security improvements by replacing safe HTML by HTML purifier, which is far more modern and also more actively developed. And we added support for the PHP EDS system. This is an intrusion detection system which can be enabled in the Security Center now. Frank did a merge of the PNRender and PNForm modules. They are now part of theme, so you can have one administration panel for all the cage settings, and also the amount of file system accesses are decreased because the renderer don't have to search the plugin folders of 3 modules. Pagelog is intended to be moved into a PNForm plugin because there is no real need to have it in a separate module. It's a component, a form plugin like any other form component as well. Drag did a complete rewrite of the whole installer. He tried to create a new clean design with that because before we had several sections in the core which had to make special exclusions or checks or conditions only before the installer. So the new one is completely independent of the whole core, and this is how it should be, because after the installer, after the installation, you delete it, and it's not really part of the core, and it's not good. It's not good design to have a huge amount of special conditions only because it could be that you are within an installation currently. Another very interesting topic is the code sniffer application. This is not really part of the core itself, but of the track project where the core is being developed. With the pre-commit hook and track, we can check several things, for example, coding guidelines, and we can even forbid a commit. So if somebody tries to commit something which would break our coding guidelines, the commit can be denied, and a corresponding message can be delivered to the developer, something like, hey, you have to correct your code. And this is also only the beginning, because you can extend this only also to a functional area. So you can not only check syntax things, you can only you can also check, for example, if methods are called correctly, and if you did a good class design and things like that. For example, we could prohibit using public class properties, because you should make them private and use getter and setter methods instead. There will be a module migration guide showing all module developers how they convert their modules to 2.0.0 easily, because the changes are really extensive, and we thought this would be the best way to show people how to get to the new architecture. Could also do perhaps a screencast or something like that, but a tutorial in a written form is very understandable, and everybody can read it for its own. And the last point here is that we are returning to the Smarty default delimiters with 2.0.0. Personally, I don't know why we introduced the special ones originally. I think there was a discussion about Dreamweaver integration or things like that. And actually, there are a few reasons against this. So we are now returning to the brackets because we are remaining the standard there, and we have a better interoperability with other Smarty applications. We have less chars to type, we have less template file sizes, and I really don't see any reason why we should keep on using our own stuff. One side note to the last point is that in 2.0.0 we have a renderer class, and we still have the PNRender class as a subclass, and all modules still can use the old delimiters because the PNRender subclass is using them as well, but only the new renderer class is using the Smarty default ones. So as soon as you change your code from PNRender to renderer, you also have to change your template.